the Cleveland Browns. Go ahead.
All right, this one was tough because obviously they have the dark cloud hanging over your head, which is Deshaun Watson and that horrible contract. So what you do here, they just restructured his contract to open up $30 million. We don't know if that's for Myles Garrett, but $30 million that puts him now over the cap. Or over the cap at 12.9 million. And a couple cuts. Ethan Pollock, center, and defensive tackle Shelby Harris. They have guys behind them that could elevate as stars. Mike Hall last year. So Shelby Harris should be gone there, and then Ethan Pollock has been in and out. He's okay, but he's not. You don't break the bank for him. That opened up to about $21 million. To where my first two signings are to keep two guys. You extend Myles Garrett, and you extend Greg Newsome, cornerback. I am not in the business of getting rid of good players or talented players. I'm not in the business of drafting a guy, making them into what they are, a good player, or in Myles Garrett case, a superstar, and then letting them walk or letting them be traded. So you give Myles Garrett the Godfather offer, an offer you cannot refuse, like overpay by $10 million annually to keep Myles Garrett there. Then you sign, and then what if your strengths of this team was your safety? What was your defensive backs, Ward, and then you have a lot of depth there. And then just to add Newsome and not lose Newsome there. So keep these two guys, right? I mean, it would make they'd be a worse team without these two guys by a mile.
Oh yeah, obviously they're two of their best players for a long time now. I don't know if the Myles Garrett situation is salvageable, but maybe you've heard time heals all wounds. A lot of times for these guys, money heals all wounds, and so maybe they do give him that offer. We did get the report that the owner refused a meeting with Myles Garrett, and so that's that's not always great. But I think
this is a dream scenario. Yeah, this is a fixer.
I think the reasons were like he didn't want to meet with them during the contract negotiation, like almost like we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Jeez.
So I don't know if they can smooth out that situation and keep Myles Garrett. Cool. I think it's gonna get ugly. I think Myles Garrett is gonna. I think he has played his last down in a Browns uniform. I think he's sick of it, and I would be too. It's an organization that's made a lot of mistakes. That did a couple years ago did have a pretty solid roster, but the Deshaun Watson thing kind of just tanked them, and I think it's going to unfortunately cost them Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that's not only you paying the biggest contract in NFL history, a biggest guaranteed contract, you also lose a Hall of Fame defensive end, which is crazy. But in this scenario, for tickles and giggles, let's keep him here. The money solves all these problems. Let's keep him and Greg Newsome there. And then like I said, I just cut Ethan Pollock in this scenario. Nick Harris, their backup center, is also a free agent. So let's go patch that up. Center Bradley Bozeman, I feel like is everyone's backup plan. Like he's like the league's plan B. So let's just keep him there. Keep the O-line. It's not what it once was, but it's not bad, obviously. Let's keep him there. It's not a sexy signing, but just keeping a good thing, which is your offensive line. Keep it good. Let's just not lose that factor that you have for this roster. Yeah. And then one of my other signings is running back Elijah Mitchell. They have said they'll let Nick Chubb explore free agency. Nick Chubb. I'm kind of over Nick Chubb. Okay, big injury, did not look good last year. If he pops off at age 29 after a leg reconstruction surgery, I'll be wrong, and I was wrong. But I'm on this very deep running back class. Let's get a new one and refresh. Elijah Mitchell is a good running back, and pair him with Jerome Ford, two backup running backs. Maybe you just play the hot hand. You kind of split 50-50. I think that's a nice, decent backfield for your next quarterback who isn't Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. All these moves are. I mean, if they keep Myles Garrett and Greg Newsome, cool. If they can't, I mean, we're kind of going into a rebuild here, like a full blown, and kind of like not a tank situation because you have the number 2 overall pick, so you are going to take a quarterback, I believe. Like you haven't taken a quarterback, but I don't know. I guess if you keep Myles Garrett, you're gonna win. You have to try to win now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Browns are confusing. Go ahead. Who's your draft pick?
Yeah, my draft pick here, number 2 overall. Don't overthink it. Get the second best quarterback in this draft class. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Get him in there. New life, fresh blood. Let's get Myles Garrett happy that, hey, we got a new quarterback now. We've moved on. at least mentally, not financially, mentally from Deshaun Watson. Let's move on
Yeah.
to a new quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. He'll bring hype. He'll bring, he brings what he brings. He's Deion Sanders aura. Yeah, yeah. So and he for what maybe he I know he's had a little bit of rough times as far as teams that like his attitude, but I think what worked with like in Cleveland is that type of attitude. Remember Baker Mayfield had that team going because Baker Mayfield was that kind of guy. Like, no, we're the best because I'm here. Short Sanders
Right.
is the same way. Let's get him in there, get some attitude, get some personality to this Browns team that last year had only Jameis Winston. And that was it. And Jerry Judy had a nice year last year, and Joku has been a very solid tight end for a long time. You have Cedric Tillman there that you don't know what it is, but maybe you drafted
Yeah.
another wideout. Yeah, I think you restart the quarterback clock again with Shedeur Sanders, and hopefully he's one of the better quarterbacks. It turns out to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's just what you hope for with this Brown. It's hard to rebuild the Browns because, like you said, they're in such a weird spot. Like number
Yeah.
2 overall, but they want to keep Myles Garrett, who's approaching the end, not at the end, but he's like he could see the end of his prime. So it's interesting spot. But the Browns are tough. This is what I would do with the Browns. I mean, what do you like? What do you think of the plan? Like,
If
it's
you
tough.
if you can execute this plan, I think it's a hell of an offseason. You keep both those guys, mostly Myles Garrett. You keep Myles Garrett in town, hell of an offseason. Couple that with Greg Newsome and bringing Shedeur Sanders, and I think there's reason for optimism.
Yeah,
You got some work to do on the roster. On that offensive line has gotten old all of a sudden, and the defense has been losing players now for a couple of years.
yeah.
But you still have a decent roster and a young quarterback and maybe the best defensive player on the planet. So you can't be totally down if they can execute this.
Yeah, yeah, and it just takes look what the Commanders were last year. Like, it takes one quarterback to just elevate an entire team. Maybe Shedeur Sanders comes in here and changes everything for the Cleveland Browns.